Hello, I'm Cheryl Jacobs, and welcome to our Kids Party Characters podcast. Make sure you subscribe below. And today I'm going to talk about, do I have to be a superhero to have a successful business? So if you know much about Kids Party Characters, you're probably familiar with the story of myself, Cheryl Jacobs, who became a successful entrepreneur. Most people who looked at my life when I was younger would have predicted a life of struggle and poverty. I married my high school sweetheart at the age of 18, was blessed with two wonderful children, and by the time I was 19, I had an abusive husband who clouded the picture of a happy family. I soon found myself as a young mother having to rely on local churches to feed my children. And many would have adopted the role of victim and ended up on state assistance with a minimum wage job at best. But I wanted more. I wanted more for myself and my children. Fast forward today, I own 10 businesses, currently running 3. I'm a pilot by trade. Just recently took on a job training Air Force cadets how to fly. And I, you know, I am a serial entrepreneur, and I have gained financial freedom. So it's a far-fetched from having my life to depend on whatever I could find to eat for myself. So if you're an entrepreneur and you're all familiar with the story of any successful business owner, you probably know that my rags to riches saga is not unfamiliar in the world of entrepreneurship. Many successful business owners, in fact, most successful business owners have overcome great obstacles and setbacks to where they are today. While we all love to hear these stories and commend the women and men behind them, it can leave you thinking, do I have what it takes to become a successful business owner? Let's face it, it took some superpowers for me to do a complete 180 in my life. And you've never lived in such dire circumstances. You might wonder in the familiar, if I can do it, so can you. It's really true when it comes to entrepreneurship. Fortunately, you don't have to seem desperate, have to have seen desperate times in order to build a successful business. Unfortunately, being a business owner isn't the right move for you, as appealing, time as financial freedom is to all of us. How do I know if it's right for you? Well, the best way to find out is to schedule a chat with me. I have mentored many other entrepreneurs, and I've walked them through on how to get started and how to become successful. But before you do that, let's make sure you in fact have the characteristics many don't, that are crucial for entrepreneurship. Where there are many traits that will serve you as an entrepreneur, here are some of the biggest must-haves if you're considering starting your own business. Passion. A lot of people who start a business go into it as more of a hobby attitude than a business attitude. They're going to play around with it and see if it works. Basically, it won't. You may have heard that you should start a business around something you're passionate about if you want to be successful, and that if you'll never have to work another day in your life. Well, that's partially true, but don't over romanticize business ownership bits. It's great if you have a thing you're passionate about and you want your business to be all about selling that particular product or service, but it's not required. What is required is that you're passionate about making your business successful, whatever your why is. It could be that you really love your product or service. It could be like if you were like me and desperately looking for a way to provide for your family. Or maybe you're doing okay, but you just can't imagine your whole life without traveling around the world, something your current job will never allow for. Whatever your why is, it has to make you passionate about finding a worthy product or service that you'd be happy to attach your name to. Persistence. Now all about you'll never work another day in your life thing, if it were only true. You know, no matter how much you love what you do, building and running your own business is going to require some work, a lot of work in the initial stages. And those initial stages can last up to a year or two. If you're the kind of person who feels you'd like to try a business to see if it works, you either need to rethink things or stick with your job. No business bursts out of regular gates wildly successful and never looks back. It usually takes some time to get to that first sale. Or maybe you'll have a $10,000 launch and zero sales in month two. There are hiccups, failures, changes in circumstances, and unforeseen roadblocks in every business. You simply have to be persistent in the face of these, driven by your passion, or you might as well not waste your time and money getting started. Without persistence, you either end up with an expensive hobby, floating from business to business with no real success, or quitting altogether, broke and discouraged at what you deemed a failure, but what might likely you may be an ending point. Sense of adventure. Business ownership is not for the weak at heart, as you probably can already tell. You're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and do some things that you haven't done, learn some things that seem too hard, take some risks that may not pay off. This doesn't mean you'll have to live outside your comfort zone. I mean, nobody really wants to do that. But it means you'll likely to have expand your comfort zones and welcome some new things into it. Many business owners are creative and they have very uncomfortable with the techie side of having their own online business. While you can outsource most of those things to other people, you're going to need to have some basic understanding, at least, of some of the things otherwise you have no interest in learning. Of course, this is not to say you should not ever consider doing anything, immortal in your eyes, but you will need to develop a reaction of, sure, I can try, learn to do that with things that make you uncomfortable in a sense that you think that they're above. They may bore you and they may scare you. Being an entrepreneur requires you put yourself out there, and that's scary for most of us. Do you qualify? If you see yourself in all three of these characteristics, you might be a great fit opportunity for my company, kidspartycharacters.com. When you become a member, you get exclusive territory to book parties, the rights to over my 200 plus characters, access to our casting director, acting coach, and all of our systems. In addition, you'll get business training and support from myself and my team. If this sounds like it might be a right fit for you, or if you have any questions, please visit me at kidspartycharacters.com, click on members, and we can have a no pressure discussion to see if it fits for you. And also, if you want to know more about kidspartycharacters.com, you can follow us on facebook.com/kidspartycharactersny. Again, I'm Cheryl Jacobs. Thank you for listening to Kids Party Characters podcast, and please subscribe below.